Hi, today I want to talk about the home loan application process. What are some of the things that you'll need, and what are some of the documents that you'll need, and how does the procedure work? How long does it take for you to basically transfer a property, and what are some of the things that you'll need in the process? So, if you are self-employed and if you are employed, what's the difference between the two, and how can you basically get a home loan when you are self-employed, and how do you get a home loan when you are basically employed, and how does the procedure work for you to basically apply, and all the way to you getting the home loan approved, right? So the first thing when you are employed that you'll need is your 3 month bank statement if you're earning the same amount of money. But if you're earning commission, or if you're earning sometimes extra amount of money, say you're working extra hours sometimes and you sometimes get more money than other months, then you'll need a 6 month bank statement. So what they'll do there is to basically take your 6 months bank statement and divide it into six and say that's your average amount of money that you earn. Right? So you need, firstly, you're gonna need your 3 month bank statement. And also your 3 month or 6 month bank statement, depending on either if you basically get your more money in some months than other months, right? So it's 3 month bank statement and your 3 months or 6 month pay slip. And the second thing that you're gonna need, or the other thing that you're gonna need, is your ID copy. So it does not need to be certified. You can just make an ID copy and basically submit that ID copy for you to make your application. And the other thing that you'll need is your marriage certificate. So if you're married, you'll need a marriage certificate to basically make your application. So you'll need to basically have, if you're out of community of property, it depends if you're in community or out of community of property. But if you in community of property, you'll need your marriage certificate. If you're out of community of property, then you'll definitely need your up-to-nature contract for you to basically make your home loan application. And the other thing that you'll need is your offer to purchase or sale agreement, right? So that will be an agreement between the buyer and the seller. So if you are, in this case, you are the buyer, you're buying a property, so you'll need your offer to purchase or your sale agreement. Where you basically say these are the terms, this is how much I'm buying the property, these are the terms of the transaction, and this is the property, this is the address, this is who I'm buying the property from. So that's your sale agreement. So that's the other thing that you'll need if you're basically buying your property. And if your property or the property that you're intending to buy, it's worth more than 1.5 million rand, then the bank will also require that you submit a statement of your assets and liabilities. What are some of the assets that you have and some of the liabilities that you also have? So if you're self-employed, then so these are the things that you'll need. So if you're self-employed, these are some of the things that you'll need for you to apply for your home loan. You'll need, firstly, your proof of income. So you'll basically have to prove to the bank that you're basically getting your income. How are you basically paid, and how is your income coming into you, and how are you basically paying yourself, if you are even paying yourself. And you need your ID copy, and also just like the employed people, self-employed, in community of property and out of community of property. If you're in community of property, then you'll need to submit your marriage certificate. If you're out of community of property, then you'll need to submit your anti-natural agreement or your anti-natural contract. And you'll need your sales agreement, also your offer to purchase. You'll also need, here you can't, if you're self-employed, you can't submit a 3-month bank statement. You have to submit a 6-month bank statement. So if you're self-employed, it's not 3 months, it's actually 6-month bank statement. And the other thing that you'll need is a 2-year financial statement for your company. So they're not just looking at you in this case, they're also looking at your company. For the last 2 years, what's been happening in terms of your finances or your company as a whole. And then also the other thing that you'll need is your company registration documents. So if you're using a company, you'll have to submit your company registration documents. But if you're using a trust, then you'll basically have to submit your trust deed, right? So that's absolutely some of the things that you'll basically need to register or to apply for your bond. And the other thing, if you're self-employed, the difference is when you're employed, and you're applying for a property worth more than 1.5 million, then they'll need your statement of your assets and liabilities. But if you're self-employed, it doesn't matter if it's a property that's higher than 1.5 or lower than 1.5 million. They also need your assets on your statement of your assets and your liabilities at the very same time, right? So now that you've submitted these to a bank, how does the procedure work and how long does it take? So for you to basically submit and all the way to you getting the bond or not getting a bond. If you have a bond originator, and the bond originator is basically that goes to the bank on your behalf to basically apply for you to get a bond. So if you have a bond originator, the bond originator will take those documents and basically go to the banks and apply for you on your behalf so that you can get this this bond. So you should know within a week time if you qualify for the bond or not, if everything that you've given the bond originator or that you've submitted yourself to the banks is enough, right? So if you have all the documents or all the documents that you've mentioned here and you've submitted everything on time, everything should be roughly about a week for you to get an approval in principle. So what's that? An approval in principle means that the bank is willing to give you the money, but they're not giving you yet. It's subject to them making an evaluation. So the first thing, you're gonna submit your application, and then the other thing, if they approve the bond, they'll give you an approval in principle, meaning they still have to do an evaluation and check if the property that you're buying is actually worth that amount of money, right? So they'll send an evaluator to basically go check out the property, and after checking out the property, they'll say if the property is worth that amount of money or if they're willing to give that amount of money for that very same property. And if they say yes, they're going forward with your application, then what's going to happen is that your bond will be approved. So now it's not an approval in principle anymore. It's absolutely 100% guaranteed that you'll get this amount of money. So they'll give you your interest rate. So it depends on, they'll say this is the interest rate that you have. They'll give you the terms of the loan, and they'll give you some of the conditions that you have to abide by for you to get this loan and throughout the 20 years. What are some of the conditions that you'll be having throughout the 20 years? And you'll basically sign that, send that to them, and then after that, they'll basically grant the loan. So they grant the loan and give the bond attorneys permission to basically write the bond into your name. So now they transfer the bond into your name, but now that the property at the same time will be transferred into your name. So that's where the conveyance attorney comes. So there's two attorneys that are going to be working to basically transfer this property. So one will be transferring the property into your name, and the other one will be transferring the bond into your name. So there's two attorneys that will be working together. The conveyancer, you can appoint any conveyancer that you want to basically transfer this bond, and the bond originator, the bond attorneys, you don't have to choose, or you can choose. The bank approves any trusted bond attorneys to basically transfer this bond. And within 3 months time minimum, if 3 months time, if it's a cash buyer, then it can take 8 weeks, 6 weeks if you're buying the property cash. But if you're applying for a loan, 3 months time to 6 months time, depending on some of the hurdles that they'll be going through with the application of the property. So it should take 6 months, 3 months time for the property to basically transfer to you or someone that you're selling the property to. But yeah, that's the whole procedure of of home loan application. I hope you love this video. If you love it, click on the like button, share this information with someone that might need it, or text someone that might need this very same message or messages like this that I'll be sending throughout the year. But otherwise, I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.